If you're using Windows 10 and you've accumulated a lot of junk files on your system, sometimes this accumulation of files can cause a performance drop on your computer if there's enough of them. If you used Windows Disk Cleanup before, you should know that Microsoft intends to replace that tool with a newer, more robust tool called Storage Sense. Storage Sense allows you to manage those junk files automatically, and in this video I'm going to show you how to use it. To access Storage Sense, one way is to click Cortana and just type storage. And then you can click the storage option here in the matches. And it'll take you directly to Storage Sense. And the other way, of course, is to click the Windows button, go to Settings. And once you're at Settings, Storage Sense is under System. And over here on the left, click Storage. When you open Storage Sense, you'll see a list of available drives. I'm primarily concerned with my C drive. When you click on a drive, you'll see how much space each item is using on the drive. This may take a moment to refresh depending on the amount of files you have on the drive. I'm concerned with temporary files, so let's go in there. You'll see Windows calculating each item in the temporary files. Once it's done, you can select which items you would like to delete. So let's see. Windows Upgrade Log Files. Windows Upgrade Log Files contain information that can help identify and troubleshoot problems that occur during Windows installation. So when you're installing or upgrading Windows, say from a previous version, or perhaps even a new Windows update, issues that occur with that update or upgrade will be stored in these log files. System created Windows error reporting files. If you have issues that occur in your Windows system, those events are recorded in these files. Generally, if this file is not too big, I tend to leave this alone. The same with the first one. If it's not too big, I'll just leave it alone. The Windows Update Cleanup, I usually like to get rid of these as long as Windows is running smooth and I haven't had any issues. I'm not going to delete those in this video though because it takes a long time to do. Thumbnails, if you browse a folder and there's images in that folder, Windows will create a thumbnail cache, which is basically just a copy of that image. It's very small. So the next time you go back to that folder, it'll load those images much faster. This is particularly noticeable if you have a lot of images in a folder. You'll notice it loads a little bit faster the second time around. Those images are recreated every time you access the folder, so I usually go ahead and delete these thumbnails. Temporary files. Applications and certain Windows processes will create short-term temporary files for storing information, and it's usually safe to go ahead and delete these. And over time, this will get quite large. The recycle bin. If you have items in your recycle bin and you're certain you don't need them, you can go ahead and select these items to be deleted. I'll go ahead and select those. OneDrive files, this will basically remove OneDrive files that are stored locally on your computer as opposed to the OneDrive cloud. OneDrive allows you to sync files between your computer and the cloud. I don't use OneDrive, so this is an option I'm not necessarily concerned with, and it's using less than a K of space anyway, 1,000 bytes. Temporary internet files, if you're using Internet Explorer, it will cache web pages that you go to frequently. So if you go to them quite frequently, you can just load the bulk of the content from your local hard drive rather than downloading it from the internet again. This does tend to get full rather fast, and if it gets too big, it'll actually decrease the performance of Internet Explorer. So you may want to clear this up every once in a while. Delivery optimization files are basically Windows Update files. Here I got Windows Update Cleanup, but they're basically Windows Update files that are shared with other computers either on your local network or with other computers on the internet, depending on the settings you have for Windows Update. I did a short video concerning Windows Update, which goes over delivery optimization files and settings for Windows Update. You can check out. DirectX Shader Cache. DirectX is a system in Windows that allows a faster display of graphics. DirectX will store some of its graphics files in this cache. It's regenerated as needed, so it's probably okay to go ahead and check this option if you want to delete those. So once I've selected everything I want, I could go ahead and remove these files now and just automatically clean all this up. Or I can just be setting this for an automatic function. Let me click the back button here and go back to the main Storage Sense window. And here, Storage Sense. If you like, you can have Storage Sense run automatically by enabling this option here. You can also change how often Storage Sense runs by clicking this option here. You can click this drop down to change when Storage Sense runs. I haven't been able to find information about the option for when Windows decides. I'm going to assume it runs when disk space gets below a safe level. But other than that, you can select every day, every week, or every month. Delete temporary files that my amps aren't using. Most likely this removes files from the temporary folder I went over earlier. Some applications tend to create short-term files that are stored in the temporary folder, and this option would delete them when Storage Sense runs. Now here's a specific option for clearing the recycle bin. If you're comfortable with the recycle bin being automatically cleared on occasion, you can select how often it gets cleared. Most likely this option will only run if you have Storage Sense turned on. Delete files in my downloads folder. I've actually used an option like this before, and it kind of shocked me that all the files in my user's download folder were deleted. I mean, they just all disappeared, regardless of which browser I downloaded the files with. So I would only use this option if you're certain you want to delete everything in the downloads folder. But since then, I've actually created a folder on a separate drive that I use for storing files I know I want to keep. So I have a lot of items in here I don't want deleted. That's probably a safe way of separating downloaded files that you don't really care about as opposed to ones you actually want to keep. Is just create, another folder somewhere and store downloads in there that you want to keep. Or just move your downloaded files as you download them to a more permanent location. That's if you want to clear this folder regularly. Now the Clean Now button will obviously run Storage Sense and clean up your drives based on the settings you selected. I don't run Storage Sense regularly. I'm kind of a hands-on kind of techie. I like to go in and do things on my own. And I also don't want Storage Sense running when I'm in the middle of doing something that's sort of processor intensive. More than likely, Storage Sense starts to run, then whatever I'm doing will probably slow down considerably until it finishes. If you're comfortable just having things run automatically, you can go ahead and turn this option on. And I imagine during idle time, Storage Sense will go ahead and run and remove files that you're not using or don't need anymore. And this is a good way to enhance the performance of your computer. If you get a lot of the kludge and unnecessary files off of it, it'll tend to run a little bit better. But we go ahead and clean up now. Now that it's done, we got this little check mark here. It lets us know that it's done. And if I go into my PC, I've managed to clean up probably about half a gig of space just on the options I've selected. I didn't select the larger options like the downloaded upgrade files because that takes considerable amount of time to clean up, and make sure you only do that when you don't need to use your computer for a little while. So this works very similar to disk cleanup. It has considerable more options available in disk cleanup. It's a good way of managing the kludge on your computer and help increase performance. That's it for this video. Give it a thumbs up if it helped you out. Click subscribe if you want to see more. Also, make sure you check out the website www.the-nerdcave.com and tell your friends about me. I'd love to hear from them. Thanks for watching and have a great day.